is Lori Chappell, and I am being recorded right now, I believe. So I needed to start that way. So anyway, I am a registered nurse at St. Luke's Hospital, and a little bit about myself is I've been a nurse for well over 20 years. Most of that time period has been in a kind of cardiology type area, the ICU, doing research, cardiology practice, that kind of thing. And it was when I was working in the cardiology practice that I saw a connection with stress and illness. And so it was there that began my path or journey on connecting stress management with our wellness, which lent itself to opening that realm mindfulness, and then to our topic of meditation. Does everyone like the mindfulness? Who is familiar with that concept or philosophy or way of living? Okay, so a big part of mindfulness is meditation. And so in the focus for this, the reason for this is what? What do you hope to gain from our hour together or our time together? Like, what is your reason for being here, or what do you hope to leave with, or something of that nature? And this is a good time to reply. Yes. Okay, so not going from 0 to 110 when it comes to stress or response to stress, right? Okay, anybody else? Somebody, yes. Managing stress better? Okay, sure. To cope with it effectively, right? Okay, that's great. That's great, because there's a big connection. And there's also a huge benefit. Huge benefit. The thing that I really, and I'll show in a slide, but do you believe, and really think about this, do you believe if I tell you that this is being studied, okay, that if you meditate daily, now what's being studied is about 20 minutes a day, 20 minutes twice a day, okay, but if you do that for 8 weeks, now once again, this is the limitations of research, so it's a short-term that there can be profound impact, a profound impact on multiple parts of our wellness, our health, our overall well-being. It's been this. I mean, can you grasp that? It's just is really something that it's easy. It's easy to do. There isn't a right or wrong way to do it. It doesn't cost very much, but a little bit of time and maybe a little bit of money. Okay, like for a CD or for a book, or but it really can lower blood pressure, can lower stress levels, can help us manage stress better, can help prevent heart disease, can different kinds of cancers. There's just a variety of things. So as we're here together, if you think of something, a question you'd like to, or a comment, certainly feel free to share. We all benefit from that with each other. And you may have a life experience or something that may benefit each of us by sharing that. Okay? So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to start doing a relaxation breathing meditation. It's going to be about 3.5 minutes long. When you meditate, and you can do this everywhere, okay? You can be doing it right now, even though, you can do this in your car, you can do this at home, you can do this in a meeting. Anytime you're not talking, you can do some form of meditation, okay? So a good tip, if this is new to you, and it may not be, is just to be comfortable, erect in your chair, but not, so much that you're not comfortable. Both feet on the ground, if that's comfortable. I'm always going to add, if that's comfortable. Your hands where they're, comfortable. And with, we have 5 senses that we utilize. We don't think that way, oh, I'm going to use my eyes right now, you know. But we use those senses. So and it's a stimulus, you know, so it's helpful to remove that. So to close your eyes, in other words, and I'm going to play some music. This particular one, like I said, is a relaxation breathing. So the focus is on our breathing. Now on the table when you came in, you may have picked up those, the forms of the education material as I brought. There's probably 3 or 4 meditations I brought, and you know, I certainly encourage you to take those, but so there's all different kinds. You know, our emphasis at this moment is going to be on breathing, and all the meditations will have a breathing component, but there may be another emphasis. There's one on body scan out there. There's a loving kindness meditation. I'm trying to think what else I brought. There's a resource page, this right here, if I could show that. This is, you know, it has websites, books, apps, that kind of thing that might be useful. And on there, or 2 apps I currently use. And one's a meditation app, so I use that for the meditation. There's probably 2 types of meditation app. This is going in and out, but oh. Apparently I'm moving too much. And there's a purpose for that, for the variety of meditations. And the other thing that I also have out that I would encourage you to take is the tips. There's like, I think it was called, you had that also, 20, yeah, meditation for beginners, 20 practical tips for quieting the mind. Okay, so go ahead. I'm going to just turn on this old-time boom box I brought. Yeah, high tech I got here. What's that? Music's not essential, but it is nice. Okay. And I just want to point out, so this particular one I got from Inner Health Studio, a website that was free of charge. You can turn that down a little bit. Okay. And I say this because you have access to all the materials, okay? I am just going to pretty much, you know, recite this, and I say just because it's easy. It's easy a few times. You really don't need, you know, the script anymore. But you have the access. I say this because they're all free, you know, so you can print these things out. The applications are generally low cost or free, and that's a different way to experience the meditation, right? Is to, instead of reading it yourself, you can just listen and experience it in a different way. And all serve a purpose, and you might want to be more active and do the reading, or just close your eyes and listen. So we will go ahead and get started. Go ahead and close your eyes if you're comfortable doing that. This breathing meditation will guide you to relax by focusing on your breathing. When learning to meditate, it is helpful to keep sessions brief so you can maintain concentration. As you become more comfortable and skilled in meditation, you can increase the duration of your sessions. This particular meditation can calm your mind and relax your body. Do know there is no right or wrong way to meditate. Whatever you experience during this meditation is right for you. Observe your experience. Don't try to make anything happen, just observe. Now that you're comfortable, let's roll your shoulders slowly forward and then slowly back. Your body will continue to relax as you meditate. Lean your head from side to side, lowering your left ear to your left shoulder, and then the opposite, right ear to right shoulder. And just repeat that a few times. Observe your breathing. Notice how your breath flows in and out. Make no effort to change your breathing. Simply notice how your body breathes. If your attention wanders, just focus back again on your breathing. Notice the stray thoughts, but try not to dwell on them. Simply let the thoughts pass. See how your breath continues to flow deeply and calmly. Notice the stages of a complete breath. From the inhalation to the pause that follows, and the exhalation, and the pause before taking another breath. Feel the air entering through your nose or mouth, down through your throat. Once again, as thoughts intrude, allow them to pass and return your attention to your breathing. See the air inside your body after you inhale, filling your body gently. Notice how the space inside your body after you exhale and the air leaves your body. Feel the chest and stomach gently rise and fall with each breath. Now as you inhale, count silently 1. As you exhale, count 1. Continue to count the next several inhalations or breaths, each inhalation and exhalation as 1. Notice now how your body feels. Is your breathing a little more calm and gentle? Your muscles a little bit more relaxed? Keeping your eyes for more moments. Wiggle your fingers and toes. Stretch your arms and hands to the ceiling. And if you can, stretch your legs out. Stretch, tight and release. And when you're ready, open your eyes. If you fell asleep, we'll wake you up. Okay. Okay, so let's say that was a few minutes. How did that feel? Good, bad, nothing, annoying, anything? Good? Okay. I mean, good in what way? Describe it a little bit. And if it really was, something negative, say that too, what it felt like. Peaceful, okay. Relaxing. I'm sorry. Centering, yes. That's big, yes. All those are big, right? But the centering is something I don't know if we always appreciate, because the calmness of doing something of this nature can really help us, at any time, You know, it might be wanting to focus on something, you know, like a project, or where you really need to focus your energy. But also stress. It's a big, big, big one with stress. And we probably experience stress every day of our lives, right? I mean, how was your car ride here today? Driving, to me, is genuinely a stressor. I really do. I don't know about anybody else feel that way. And I don't mean just when you're running late, or but just it's a stressor, you know. When we're more aware, you're aware of like how taut your muscles get, you know, whether your legs, your stomach might get gnawed. There's all these responses, and we're driving all the time, you know, frequently. So these types of, you know, meditation or relaxation breathing is a genuine response that we can have a profound impact, you know, and it really could do all that: more relaxing, more peaceful, more centering. And I really think no matter where we are, what's going on, I think we all can benefit from that. If we're not very stressed, why not be a little happier? If we're really stressed, why not do this to help lower our, you know, stress levels? If we have high blood pressure, why not do this to help lower that blood pressure? So to me, it's just one of those things that the benefit versus the risk. What's the risk, right? But the benefits can be really, and can be truly profound, you know. And the one thing that happens routinely, and when you're looking at studies, they were looking at something very specific, right? It might be blood pressure, it might be pain level, or it might be like blood sugar levels, or, you know, that's what a study is going to do. But in real life, what happens is, let's say I started doing this to lower my blood pressure. Well, what happens a few months down the road, all of a sudden you're going to notice that, you know, you might be sleeping better, or you might be laughing more, or you might be a better listener, or you might be, because the effects are, you know, it's not just going to be on the one thing your intention was. Okay, you're going to benefit in a myriad of ways, not just what your purpose was. So it just could be extraordinary. Okay. So I did bring a PowerPoint, okay? Okay, so just a little bit of background, you know, where, at least from my vantage point, I come from a mindfulness perspective. And Jon Kabat-Zinn is, and actually I spelled his first name wrong, he is kind of the founder of based stress reduction, mindfulness-based stress reduction. He studied at MIT, but then started this foundation at the University of Massachusetts like 40 years ago, so well before it was commonplace or getting there. But mindfulness really is becoming more aware of how we're thinking, more aware of how we're feeling, more aware of what we're doing. Okay, so it's this general increased awareness. And that what we do then, we act more deliberately. We're more present moment. And if it's not present moment, where are we? Where are we? If we're not present, what we might be doing? Worrying about something, what might happen, regretting something, just putting our mind, and we have to go to those other tenses, right? We have to. We have planned, you had a great time, or you had a hard conversation or a difficult experience with someone. You're going to reflect on those things. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if we spend a lot of time worrying about things, if we spend a lot of time thinking about, you know, the past, we're really missing out on the present, which is where life kind of takes place, right? If I'm always somewhere else, you know, if I'm at home in my conversations with my family and I'm not present, then I'm not really experiencing fully that conversation, right? So if I'm talking now and you're thinking about what you have, I need to stand. What's that? You're hitting a node. My move. Yeah. Yeah. And I have a very hard time standing still. So I'm just going to fade in and out, I think. So it's just where, if you're thinking about your rest of your afternoon, then you're not present moment. You're going to miss something, you know. And that could be just to kind of think about and during this, where do you spend? Do you worry more often than you'd like? Do you just think about what this means to you? And Then the last component, and this is basic. Now remember, there's books and books written on this, and I have a slide. So the basic definition of what mindfulness is. And the last one is non-judgmental, and that's a big one, you know. And non-judgmental towards ourselves as well as others. Too often, and this was, I read a study not too long, who somehow was able to figure out that we have, 67 thoughts a day. Okay, that's quite a bit. And how many do you think of those were negative? A lot. I mean, by the way I'm saying it, you know it's a lot. Well, it was like 2/3. So 2/3. You know, that's a pretty big deal. So what is that all about? It's, you know, that's our perception on life, right? Whether it's about my surroundings, my work, my family, how I feel about myself, it's a lot of negative. And do we want, you know, can we tweak that? What can we do about that? You know, so when we're more aware, it's not necessarily comfortable, right? Because if I become more aware, I may become more aware of what I'm not doing that's either nice, that I'm not doing something well. But the point is, you're going to be aware of everything, more aware of everything. You're going to enjoy more. You're going to be engaged more. But when we're aware, and if I don't like something that I discovered about myself or something I did, a behavior or whatever, I'm in a position to help me modify. What can I do about that, right? That's a difference. That's a difference. That's empowering. It's empowering to be aware and then have the ability to change, as opposed to sliding something, not wanting to be aware by being too busy, not aware of what we're doing, or preferring maybe. Sometimes it's hard to be honest with ourselves, right? So a little bit of denial can be helpful, but it's just good to understand what the basics of mindfulness is in that one component, a non-judgmental. Okay, so this slide is just basically letting you know mindfulness is being used in all kinds of areas. Okay, so in this, you know, with the kids, mindfulness is being used in the school. Okay, they're doing these which means they're doing different things to be aware, but also activities, types of meditations. And the reason is because it helps children calm down to be able to have, you know, their mindset, their centeredness, to be able to put their energy and thoughts into studying, into learning. So it's used all over the place in education. You know, the woman in the middle for anxiety. You know, up in the right with all like eBay, Aetna, Google, General Mills. Those are the corporations. It's used in the corporate world. And those leaders of those companies, you know, created a culture of mindfulness, which means that they're encouraging meditation. And I say all this to point out that it's being used. It's not a strange foreign thing, that this is being used all over our country in a myriad of ways. You know, for stress management. It's also used, the middle slide with the x-rays, just showing it's used for chronic pain, different kinds of acute and chronic pain. And then the last one, which I alluded to before, no matter where we are, it can help improve our current state, right? So even if we're happy now, this could help us, you know, just be another part of a healthy lifestyle. Doing this, mindfulness really is just being part of a healthy lifestyle. Just like, what are other things? When you think a healthy lifestyle, what comes to mind? And we all know this. What are the other? Eating, so good nutrition, exercise, sleeping. That's right. And I would add stress management in there too, right? Because if we're stressed, what happens with all those other things? We don't sleep well. We have a harder time doing exercise, and we have a harder time eating well. So all those things, you know, are parts of a healthy lifestyle, okay? And this, you could add mindfulness to that, okay? So this is another slide just to show this is being, you know, I mentioned that it's being studied. Well, so the gentleman up there on the right is Jon Kabat-Zinn, who I mentioned is kind of the founding father of mindfulness-based stress reduction. But it's written all over the place. You know, it's being, you know, Time Magazine and Newsweek and Scientific America. So this is just something that you can easily Google and explore and find out more about mindfulness and meditation. And these are just some of the different schools around the country that are studying. And it really is, to me, extremely exciting because in the study of neurology, for instance, they're really looking at the effect of meditation on the brain in terms of memory, in terms of our cognitive skills, in terms of aging. So, it's just really very extraordinary that this is being studied all over the place, and that's just one application. Okay, so mentioned some of this already. Part of a healthy lifestyle, it's a learned skill. The one thing that I hear repeatedly is that meditation is not for me. It's too hard. My mind wanders. I don't have time. Those sorts of things come to mind. And it is a learned skill, but if we're learning to eat better, if we're starting a new exercise program, we don't just go out and run 5 miles, right? Or you just don't go from eating fast food every day to eating, fruits and vegetables 10 times a day. It's gradual. It's always gradual, right? This is no different at all. So when you're learning your practice, starting your practice, or wanting to enhance it, but especially the starting, just do like anything else. Start small, but do it no matter what. If your mind, I was talking to somebody just this morning that when she meditates, that's when she usually wants to do her grocery list. Well, it's productive. But, so in her mind, then she's not doing it right? She's not doing it. So why do it if I'm not doing it right? Do it anyway, okay? Do it anyway. You will benefit from the experience, and then there will be a time when you will be able to focus your energy, your thoughts on the intention meditation, whether it's breathing, whether it's on gratitude, whatever meditation you're doing, there will be a time that your focus will be, you'll be more able to focus on the meditation and not those other thoughts, those other things in mind. So one thing of being aware of our thoughts, emotions, and behavior, okay? So it's an observation, not judgmental. And eventually you can either continue to do what you're thinking, feeling, or behaving, or you're in a position to make a change, okay? And I'll talk more about cultivating that behavior. So why do we want to do it? We mentioned stress already. We mentioned different things, with different illnesses. So, but it's also getting off autopilot, less anxiety, and a couple other things. But with the autopilot, a lot of us, we're busy, right? We all work, obviously, we're here. Most of us or all of us have a home, have a family. That lends itself to routine. And when we have routine in our life, and most adults do, it lends itself to a certain level of lack of awareness, more autopilot, okay? And when we're in the example I frequently give is like, have you ever drove from home to work and not known how you got there? See, everybody's done it, right? What's that? Right. How did I get here? You don't remember the stoplights, you don't remember being on the highway, you don't remember parking, all that. I'm thinking, it's strange actually, right? We've all done it. But there's a lot of things that I think we can get into autopilot. That's one that comes off, that's easy for us to jump to. But routine lends itself to that. So when we're at work or and where do we spend most of our time? At work, at home with our family, those places where there's routine. Well, my thinking is that, we go on vacation maybe once, maybe twice, how many times a year? And vacations are easier, right? Because we're not in our same routine. We're not in the same place. And we're not at work. It's not routine. But most of our time, most of our life is spent in that routine. So do we want to be, don't we want to be a little bit less anxious, a little bit less autopilot, with kids? And I'm sure some of us, or many of us, have kids. Mine are 14 and 12. Well, wasn't that long ago when they were, when they were little. And what do they say often? They come home from being at the park, come home from getting an ice cream cone, come home from something really, really simple. And everyone's heard this, best day ever. You know, do we ever go home from work and say, how was your day? Best day ever. I think I'd be tested for some kind of illness. But don't we want more of that? Don't we want more? I mean, we may not act like that, but I do, you know, and I think many of us do. You want more joy. You want more what I would call wow moments, okay, like the best day ever moments. Well, we might, but see, if we're aware and we're more mindful and we're less stressed and we're more centered, we can do that. You know, and you know when you have those moments, we all know it, you know, when you have that, you know, that great dinner conversation with your family and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I just love my family. You know, it might be in your head, and it's not every day you feel that, but I'm sure we all had those moments over something simple, you know, but we want more of that. You know, I think we all would like to, and what is it? That's being appreciative, right, of what we have. And gratitude is one element or one component of mindfulness that helps us to become centered, to be more at peace. When we're aware, when we're actively grateful for what we have, okay? It's not saying at all not to strive for something or not to, but just to be at the same breath of striving for something else, but to be truly grateful for what we have. And that may take work. You know, that I started reading just I thought that was just common sense. I thought we all knew that. I thought we all knew that we need to be grateful because we learn a lot of that where I think church setting or through our religion. And but the thing is, when I really started to read and reflect more on it, I think it's something we know, but I'm not sure it's something we do, you know, regularly. Be aware of that. And one of the meditations that are available that I have on the one app that I use is a meditation on gratitude. You know, so that's just part of it. Okay, let's see what else. So autopilot, all these things to use the mindfulness to, in other words, to meditate. Okay, because remember, meditation is a big part of mindful living. Okay, so we just additional ones, so specific, you know, eating in our relationships, workplace, family life, even these other things. When you're cooking, you know, who enjoys cooking dinner 5 days a week? I'm just kidding. I don't, you know. That's the work week, you know, or usually the work week for most of us or many of us. But the point is that you can apply any, you know, the mindfulness to any of these. So in other words, to everything, right? To everything. Okay, so the different types of meditations. These are just to give you some idea that these are all different ways to meditate or different types. So guided imagery, yoga, the relaxation breathing, the example we did just a bit ago. Prayer is a form of meditation, right? Okay. Running can be meditative. Okay, so it doesn't always have to be sitting in the chair, you know, a physical passive experience. You know, yoga is meditative, very much focused on your breathing, calming experience. Now, it can be hard. I mean, when I practice yoga, I mean, I can sweat, so it's not that you're not doing anything, but it is quiet, it is calming, it is a centering, and it's focused on your breathing. Will always be a part of that. Music certainly can be meditative, you know, so we can utilize music for our meditations, and then the mindful meditations, several of which I mentioned, you know, the scan, loving kindness is another mindful meditation, gratitude, etc. Okay, so what's going to happen? What's going to happen when you do this meditation? Every single day, right? No. And all this can happen. You know, I mentioned several things already, but we can become certainly more aware, more able to focus on the present, manage stress. You know, when we do have problems, it does allow us to change, to alter, modify our perspective on what our current challenges are. Doesn't mean it's going to take away the challenge, but it can help modify how we approach the challenge, how we deal with the issue that might be right before us. And it also can truly help us be less negative. And that's something that you might, when you're becoming more aware, you might find yourself that you might be negative at times, you know, and it might be a surprise. I learned a lot about myself through these experiences. In part of what I do in the car, you know, it's not that I'm sitting there yelling. When people are with me in the car, I don't do this. But it's funny how when I drive by myself, I may not be saying the nicest thing or thinking the nicest things. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I can't believe I do that. But you do learn. You know, you learn a lot because you're reflecting more. You're reflecting more about what's going on, okay? Okay, so, and here's more. So attitude, more pleasure, relief stress, build resilience. Can build resilience, and it really can. These are some of the areas that's being studied: heart disease, on blood pressure, any kind of chronic pain, whether it's due to arthritis, you can have chronic back pain, which many of us do in our society today. Alleviate different gastrointestinal issues, depression, anxiety, fibromyalgia, all these things regular meditation can help with. But that's a pretty big deal. You know, it's a pretty, you know, can be pretty significant or pretty profound in our day-to-day living. Okay? And what it really is asking is a little bit of time and, you know, a little bit of time spent on meditation. Okay, so the one thing that I did give you is that in these bullet points here are from that meditation documentation that I gave you on the practices to quiet the mind or calm the mind. So it is doing a daily practice. A lot of times stretching in the morning can be very useful, you know, and help us be just before we meditate can be very helpful. Embrace the frustrations of meditation. Be okay with that, accepting of that. And it's, you know, so often we want to be a society of productive, you know, measuring what we do, quantifying what we do, getting a checklist and making sure you complete that checklist, all that. We feel accomplished when we're productive, but some of this is not that. It's just being and allowing, which might be very foreign to us. But it's a very interesting concept once that becomes more a part of who we are and part of our day. It really, that in itself is pretty extraordinary too, because it's a different way to experience the moment, a different way to look at ourselves and look at what's important. It's not always about accomplishing something, which once again may sound silly or foreign at this point. These are some more ways to help. Okay, you know, commit for the long haul. Do different things. Sometimes you might want to read the scripts that you have before you, or scripts you can download and print, you know. But also, you know, maybe try an app or listen to a CD, you know, in a variety of resources, in a variety of mediums, you know. When you do this at home, sometimes it's hard to find 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes to not be interrupted. So that's what that sign, it's really like, have a sign if you need to, do not disturb. Say you need 10 minutes. You know, even if you're only going to meditate for 5, take 10 minutes, right? So you can get quiet, so you can kind of get time to do that. Use different things. If candles help or the music helps, you do those things, you know. And also, you know, when you're cooking, when you're just at home, if you're cleaning the house, cooking, use candles and music too, right? Why not make something that you're going to do anyway more pleasurable, you know? And then the whole thing about gratitude that I was mentioning. And just think about these things. Okay, this is pretty much the last slide, but this is kind of, I guess what I say is a takeaway message, but the ways to cultivate, and I cultivate these things into our day. Okay, regular check-ins is something that, like throughout the day, now I used to use my phone for this. I'd set my alarm, and every couple hours I would have it alarm, a bell would go off. That would be my time to reflect and say, what am I thinking, how am I feeling, and what am I doing? How am I spending my time, what am I doing at the moment, that kind of thing. Now, I might be at a meeting, well, I'm not going to just sit there. I don't sit there and tell everybody what I'm doing, right? And so you may have to wait a few minutes, but the thing is, when you do this daily, it helps you become more aware. It helps us become more mindful, okay? But you do that process. Everything starts here, right? Everything we do starts with how we're thinking. And we're just now in healthcare really connecting that mind-body together again. We really are. It's being approached that way, thought that way, and you think it's where everything starts. So when you're aware of it, then you're empowered to do something about that. If nothing else, to be aware of what we're doing, right, and confirm what we're doing. So what am I thinking? How am I feeling? How am I feeling? Am I stressed? Am I frustrated? Am I feeling nothing? What is it that I'm experiencing at this time? The self-conversations. We talk to ourselves all day long. Now, sometimes out loud, but even when they're just in our head, we have these conversations. Remember I told you that psychologist who did that study, we have thoughts going all day long, okay? What are those thoughts? The more we become aware, it's extraordinarily interesting to get inside deeper into your head and what you're thinking. You'll be nothing like everything. Because really, for years, a lot of people as an adult would tell me over the years, oh, you're so non-judgmental. You just really take time before you make a decision. Well, let me just tell you, when I became more aware, I wasn't always so nice in my thoughts. I was really kind of astounded. But when you have this, you're not reflecting, you're just doing that, right? Well, I wasn't happy about that, but I was in a position to then, when I realized it, what can I do? Ask myself, why am I thinking this? What benefit does this thought have, etc.? So you're in a position to do something about it. No one knows I'm thinking some of these things, right? But if it all starts here, don't you thoughts have some sort of impact on my experience? Well, sure they do. Well, I didn't like that. So but the point is we're in a position to modify, okay? So that's part of it. So you have your regular check-ins throughout the day, self-conversations, relaxation, breathing, and the meditation. Now, I separated the two because the relaxation breathing is something you can do it's very informal. The mindful meditations are more formal, right? More time. You may want to be in the setting like you were earlier where you're sitting in a chair, your eyes closed and all that. The relaxation breathing, you certainly can do it the way you experienced it earlier, but it also can be something, when I leave here, I guarantee you I'll be doing relaxation on my way back to the hospital. I do it all the time after, just all the different experiences, because you need to get recentered, to calm myself down, to relax. But it's a different experience, of course, when I'm driving than what you had here, right? Well, of course it is, but it still can be very beneficial. And I'll just be doing it. I won't sometimes I have music or have a CD or my app. I might use the app as I'm driving. So you have all these resources to utilize this, but that's something that you can do all day long. Only time, and I may have said this already, the only time you really can't is when you're talking. Otherwise, you can do some form of relaxation breathing, okay? Well, that's really about what I have for you. Did that make sense? Do you have thoughts on what I presented here in the last, 45 minutes? Any comments or questions? So quiet. You're de-stressing. Very good, very good. Okay, well, thank you very much for your time. Take all the materials that you think might be useful and have a great rest of the day. You're very welcome.